Okay, so it's Tuesday, which means it's vlog day. And I have had one of them days. I've done a podcast today. I've had another important call to do with my big secret project today that I'm not telling you about. And I'm just about to go on another Zoom call and do some filming. So I thought, in between, I will just film the vlog. So what's happened with the bistro and gallery over the last 7 days? Well, I'll tell you what's happened. A great big spanner has been thrown into the works. And this is what happens in business. So I spoke to my architect last week and said, look, I need the plans, I need this and blah, blah, blah. And I need this for the loan. And he said, look, the council is taking about 12 weeks at the minute for planning permission, even just for change of use. He said, and if there's any objections to that, it could go to committee. So it could be 16 weeks or more before you get your planning permission. Now, the money from the bank is completely and utterly dependent on us having the planning permission that says, yes, it's okay for us to go ahead with change of use, because it would be no good them giving me the money, us not getting planning permission and sitting with a business that we cannot operate. It just doesn't make good sense to do that. So that's the situation at the minute. So everything goes on hold. Nothing more you can do. We've been doing loads of stuff in the background. I've got a garage full of tables and chairs. So if it all goes pear-shaped, I might be running a market stall somewhere selling tables and chairs. Anyway, that aside, it's all going to go ahead. It's just a time thing now. And unfortunately, this is where I need to learn some patience. And I am grateful for it. There's a part of me that is grateful for this period of time where I can't do anything, because there's so much coming up for me that I can't tell you about right now that's huge, and it's going to serve me. So what happens in the universe is that you are being watched. Whatever higher power it is that you align with, that you work with, I call it the universe, some people call it God, some people call it spirit, whatever it is that you align yourself with, whatever word it is that you use, it doesn't matter. The universe knows what you need right now and what you don't need right now. And there's an element of, I'm almost relieved that I've bought a bit of time to get this other thing out of the way so that I can do this other thing really well. And then I can come back in and refocus on the bistro and gallery and do it really, really well. So sometimes things happen for a reason, and that reason is it's what you need. So that's kind of the first thing I wanted to share with you this week. Other than that, I shared the menu in my group and with a couple of other people, and I've been getting really great feedback. So that's enabled me to really start fine-tuning that menu, changing some of the language, changing the way it's laid out, changing it so that it's easier to read and understand. So that's really hugely positive. And I think that's something that's worthy of note in business, is if you've got ideas, put them out there, get some feedback, think about that feedback. You may completely discard it, but it actually might be beneficial for you and your business to listen to some of that feedback and take it on board. After all, I've put out a menu and said, what do you think? And if people have gone, that feels a bit wordy, could you change this? Or what about this? Then that's them reacting as if they would when they were in the establishment choosing from the menu. And what's really strange is that I went out on Saturday with a friend of mine for lunch, and we went to try a new place out. And we couldn't get into the new place because it was so busy. So 10 minutes down the road in Castle Douglas, Saturday lunchtime, there was a queue. The place was full and there was a queue. We went to the next place, same thing. Place was full, there was a queue. We eventually found a place, which is Streetlights. I've been there before to do a bit of market research, but I'm so glad we ended up back there again, because the first time I'd been there, they had blackboards painted on the walls with their menu, and to read the menu and to see what you wanted, you had to crane your neck 360 degrees. Well, I've had neck surgery and that's really difficult for me. So we went in, we got a table, and they painted out all the blackboards and done a menu. And the menu was horrendous. It was confusing. I couldn't figure it out. And for me, that was great market research of how important that menu is, whether you paint it on blackboards on the walls or whether it's delivered to you. And what they'd done is they'd printed it themselves on an A4 sheet, double-sided, then laminated it really badly. There was creases in it and everything. And obviously no one had edited it or spell checked it or looked at how it was laid out. And none of it worked. And that's good to see somebody else is not working, because you go back then and have a look at your own menu and you go, right, okay, what were the things that I wasn't happy about that menu? How can I change that in mine? How can I make mine easier to read and easier to understand? And all of those things. So that's really good. Market research is always good in everything that you do. It's especially enjoyable when you're opening a bistro, when you're going out for lunch as market research, because you get to taste some different foods. And we decided on Saturday, I was just going to have soup and a roll and see what the soup was like and see what the roll was like, and how that helps me pitch my products. How many soups did they have on? At what price? Were they gluten-free? Were they vegan? That sort of thing. And then I had cake, just to see what the cake was like. How many cakes did they have on? Was the cake nice? Was it moist? Was it tasty? Turns out I picked really well. The soup was great. The cake was great. The roll was lovely. And those are the basic, simple things that you have on your menu that you've got to do really well. Because if somebody comes in and has a bowl of soup and it's great, and a homemade roll and it's great, they're going to come back for more. So those are the things that have been happening this week. We had an amazing call on Friday with the Royal Bank of Scotland, and they have a system called Mentor. And Mentor does all of the things for you to keep you out of court, to keep you diligent, to supply you with due diligence, materials and training and everything. So what they do for you is they have the employment law due diligence, where they help you with personnel records, training records. It's all recorded in the cloud on their system and held for you so that you can show due diligence. It's also then available for all your employees with an individual sign-in on the phone. So you go and say to your employee, go and do your food safety training, go and do this training. They log in, they do the training, it's recorded, the time and date that they've done that training, and they confirmed that they have understood it. You are then 100% diligent for any court cases that come up. So if somebody has an accident in your establishment, all your staff are health and safety trained, know the correct procedures, you're more likely to have a better outcome than if you haven't got any of the above. So there's the employment law side of it, and then there's the health and safety side. So they come and do a full health and safety risk assessment for you, and they come and do a fire risk assessment for you. That's all recorded on the system. They then have all the fire, health and safety, licensing, etc. training for you to be able to get your employees to go through. So it's a fantastic system. It's not cheap, but imagine, I know as an ex-senior leader how much it costs to go to court and how much it costs to go to tribunals. You're talking tens of thousands. So it actually costs, I think, around about £450 a month for this system. So we've signed up for it. We're not starting it until May because of the planning permission, but we're going to do it because one thing, when I talk to you on here and when I talk to you anywhere, on any social media sites or anything else, I always say how you do anything is how you do everything. And I like things done properly and legally and in the best way that you can for both yourself as an employer and for employees and for customers that are coming into your business wherever they're coming in. So I like to make sure, my insurances are in place, my indemnities are in place. The Mentor system has indemnity of up to 5 million because they are so sure that they can keep you out of court and out of any problems because of the diligence that this shows, that they are prepared to stand behind it and say, we'll pay your court fees. So That's been interesting. So although I'm saying not much has happened, and the councillors, we've dealt with some things like, these are really important things in business, thinking about your employees and your customers and keeping them safe and making sure that you're diligent as an employer or as a service provider. So those are the things that have happened this week. Tweaking of the menu, more market research, great call about all the legal stuff, and disappointed with the council, but just gives me time because the bank want me to provide them now with actual costs for everything. So the initial quotes that I had, I need to nail them down now and get actual costs in for everything. That includes all the equipment, etc. So we've got a bit of work to do on that. This will be this week and next week's work. That we're actually nailing down some of these costs and quotes into actuals to see if we're on track with the money that we're trying to borrow. And it may come down to, we might need to borrow a little bit more, or we're on track with what we need. That's all going to come to light in the next couple of weeks. So that's the update for this week for the Vault, Bistro and Gallery. I hope you're having an awesome week, and I will see you next week with a vlog update. Bye for now.